Hi. So some books entertain you, and there are books that stay with you forever. And then there are books like this that do both. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho has impacted me so much that I couldn't sleep for a few nights after I finished reading this, I'm telling you. It changed the way I looked at my dreams, the way I looked at my goals, the way I looked at my life's purpose, and the approach that I had taken for writing. So I wanted to share the same with you. For me, it is writing. For you, it could be something else. It could be your art, your music, your dance. It could be anything, your sports, right? So hello everyone. I am Matangi, a teacher and an author, and today I am going to share 5 very powerful lessons that I learned from The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Let's begin. Lesson number 1. The world responds when you truly desire something. Now this book, it revolves around a very famous idea, and you will know in a second why I am calling it famous. The idea, the theme of this book is that if you conspire for something, I repeat, if you conspire for something, the universe conspires the same thing for you and helps you achieve that goal. Sounds familiar? Maybe in some other language? Yes? Well, let's figure out. Sometimes, we wait for confidence to come to us and then us starting. Usually it is the other way around, where you take the first step and then confidence comes to you in person and makes friends with you, if that makes sense to you. It worked for me. But this book also reminded me that we need clarity of the fact that we have to take the first step. There is no choice. So whether you want to create, whether you want to study or heal or build something of your own, well, take that first step. Because trust me, things eventually work out. And I am an example of that. So take that first step. So in the book, Santiago repeatedly faces uncertainty. And this shows that, the real obstacle is not failure. It is the fear of failing and the different other fears that come with it. So it is actually the fear of failing, not the fear itself. Or not the failure itself, rather. And, as a writer, as a reader, as a creator now, I feel, that particular thought, it sort of stayed with me. Okay. And, as creators, we have different inhibitions, we have different fears. We have the fear of being unnoticed, fear of not being good enough, fear of, not being able to think of ourselves as high enough as others think of us, of criticism, of judgment. We have that fear, whether we want to accept it or not. So that is there. And then, but then one other thing that will keep you nagging is the regret later. If you don't do it right now and don't try it right now, you will regret it, saying that maybe if I had done it, I would have been successful. So that pain is heavier than failing. At least if you failed once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 100 times, you will either succeed the 101st time, or you will say, okay, this is not for me, I'll try something else. But you won't regret not doing it, and that's what matters. And most dreams, they die quietly inside the hearts, the minds of people. even before they get a chance to come into reality, and that's so sad. So I want to do that for myself, and I want you to do this, to cross your fears and do what you have to do for yourself. Now, the next lesson. This book speaks about something known as a personal legend, you know, your true calling. And this idea, it just blew my mind. It changed completely how I looked at creativity, how I looked at how I wrote, how I looked at the ideas that came to my mind. I'm getting goosebumps as I speak. That's how it was. And what we have to also understand is sometimes we just let go of our passions that we had as a child. And sometimes, as you grow older, those things come back to you. And at that moment, they don't just remain your passion, they become the dream that you had always wanted to live. And that is when you have to understand that they are meant for you and they've come for you. And there is no greater happiness than that. I'm so happy when I'm talking about this because I want you to be happy too. Trust me. In this context, just as passion becomes, more than just a hobby for many. Many are doing that, when you scroll through Instagram, you will know many are doing their 9 to 5s, and then over the weekend they're either singing or they play the guitar, the keyboard, the piano, dance, the different types of dances, the Indian classical dances. Whatever they wanted to do, they are now pursuing it with passion, and they're going into that again. And for many, it is turning into a career for them, and that is so wonderful. That is such a beautiful thought. That is such a beautiful thing to happen to someone. So for me, also writing has become my voice. It has become something that I express myself through, instead of it just being a hobby, which it was when I was in school. And now, a small message for you. You have to understand that your stories matter, your life matters, your feelings matter, the way you express matters. So please do what you can while you can about your hobbies, your passion, and do what you love while loving what you do otherwise. So, the last lesson. Of course, it has taught me many more lessons, but the last lesson that I'm going to talk about today, that The Alchemist has taught me, is that as an author, it has changed me in many ways, and I've mentioned that before. But then it is also, one of the biggest learning is that you need not use complicated language to portray, to communicate what you want to do. As far as you are clear, you have absolute clarity about what you want to tell to your audiences, to your readers, that is all good. You need not use complicated words, because sometimes the idea becomes more important than the words used. When I say that, what I mean is, it is important in case of this book. It was important for the idea to reach the readers like you and me, rather than the words used. Now it is easy to understand. The words that I used are quite easy to understand, and that was the biggest lesson that I as a writer could learn from this book. Okay, so the lesson here would be that sometimes simplicity reaches deeper than complexity. It is sometimes more about, like I said, communicating clearly rather than us showing off what we know about the topic or the subject. Like as a teacher, we are trained to break down and simplify it for the students, because that is the intention there, for the students to learn. And how will they learn? When we as teachers come down to their level, in case of language, in case of their vocabulary. Yes, so that is the same logic that we apply here, and you can apply to your art. Figure out ways how it can be made easier, easily communicable. Yes, so with that, this was the last lesson. Yeah, okay then. So I'll leave you with this, that the Alchemist taught me that your dreams aren't foolish, ignoring them is. And maybe why this book still continues to inspire many people is because we need that reminder, that constant reminder that it is the journey that is important than the destination itself. Because as an author, if I'm going to aim for, say, 1 lakh copies or 100,000 copies to be sold, once they're sold, I will want a higher number and then a higher number. So the destination is never going to, it is going to keep changing. It is never going to be constant. It is a journey that will help us learn things. Yes. And I want to end the video with that, and then I would also love to know which is that book which changed your life forever. I would love to know that in the comments. Thank you.